Let's bring in Major Glenn Ignazio, retired Special Ops Air Force Major and national security expert. Major, we appreciate you joining us once again. We are seeing this blame game play out between the California governor and President Trump, with Governor Newsom saying it's Trump's fault. Looking at the unrest, we do know that those are the agitators melded in with those who are actually there just to protest. So in your opinion, was it warranted to bring in the national troops, or is the governor correct in saying they weren't needed?
In my opinion, I think activating the troops and at least the National Guard and getting them is the best thing. I mean, this is something that the law enforcement can't do 24/7 without some type of reserve. So having the Guard there to do this and to support them is just fine. It's one of the things that have been done for natural disasters. This happened in 1992 when the LA riots, which were much worse, kicked off. So having that presence to try to squelch it as much as possible, I think was the best thing. I think more of this rhetoric between the governor and the president seems to be inciting people more than the president of the Guard. And I'm looking at this apolitically as best as I can.
Okay, so fair enough, Major, with the National Guardsmen. The Marines, bringing those in, is that piling on, or are they needed?
Well, I think that adding the Marines is a interesting and really a complicating segment. So when they're saying they're bringing in more Guard additionally today, I would really enforce and bring in the National Guard. They're considered a state militia. They are activated under a thing called Title 10, which means federalization underneath Trump. So the National Guard has this understanding to work with state authorities very well. As far as the Marines, they are active duty, and that's a whole different beast about how this coordination is going to happen. And I think it complicates things, and I would have waited on that. But again, that's how it's unfolding.
All right, we had a guest on earlier. He's a gubernatorial candidate for 2026, a billionaire and entrepreneur, Stephen Klubeck. He said that this all started because of the ICE raids. He said that Tom Homan and his ICE team did not coordinate with local officials. Of course, California is a sanctuary city. Do you believe that's true? Should there have been some coordination in there instead of just coming up? Because according to him, in his words, he was saying it was kind of random, and that's why people sort of got interested in this and started the protest. And then, of course, you had the agitators who were melded into those who just weren't happy with what ICE was doing.
Yeah, again, I always watch it because, again, we see the political thing going back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. And honestly, I do believe that is really escalating things for everybody, and they need to come together to solve this. Now, as far as working this out and getting that in place, now, the ICE raids, from understanding with Tom Homan, that what he was actually saying that there is a warrant that was out for this facility. There was much more complex than just illegals. These were individuals that were sending money to different cartels. So as far as that coordination, if that coordination doesn't cause any delays, sure, I think that would assist things. But at the same time, how complex is that? We don't know. And so I think that these raids will continue, but they have to continue with those warrants and everything on a legal presence. And that's when people are getting upset, thinking that they're just walking into any facility and grabbing people. If that's the case, I think that's wrong. But I think this coordination would be better if it doesn't delay.
Major, you were deployed to California, the National Guard in the 1990s. Based on what you're seeing, talk to us about the two certain groups that we've been discussing all morning. Those who show up, the 58-year-old father who just wants to go out and protest, has a sign, doing some chanting, maybe is raising his fist. But then you have another group of people sort of melded into that larger group of people who are masked. They're throwing things. They're pushing back on law enforcement. Where do you believe that group, those that are being arrested, where do you believe that group is coming from? Is someone paying them to show up? Are they coming up in buses? What are you hearing?
Yeah, now this is the interesting part when you look at any of the riots. So first of all, 1992 was massive, and it was definitely different than what we see. However, as soon as violence starts in any way, shape, or form, or breaking, items or striking people, the protest ends, like it or not. I completely support protests. That's what we have our rights, the Constitution for it. But as soon as violence begins, it changes that. What we do see, and this is something that's known across the United States, is these individuals from Antifa, anarchists, they actually do come in, and it's like Wolfpack. They stir things up, and people do things in a group that they wouldn't normally do individually. That is happening, and there are organizations that are actually paying people to get involved. That's not just hearsay. That actually happens, and that's where we have these problems across the country that sometimes escalate from normal protests, and that's very unfortunate in the problem.
Yeah, we're seeing that right now in this video that we're watching that's playing. We're seeing the protesters disperse when that group comes in that you just explained. Major Glenn Ignazio, always a pleasure. Thank you for your insight. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.